Good afternoon, everyone. We, the young women of Zimbabwe, we will not be distracted by partisan distortion, exaggeration, and outright fiction. We note with concern the political spin of a hyperbolic statement made by President Nelson Chamisa at a UK rally by political malcontents who wish to abuse public sentiment for selfish end for their political expediency. We wish to clarify to the public that the President Nelson Chamisa's statement was taken literally when it was intended to be hyperbole. In a very clear statement, President Chamisa said that if the impossible situation of Mnangagwa getting 5% in a free and fair election happens, you will also do the unthinkable of marrying off his sister. In this way, he's implying that both are unimaginable and unacceptable things. We are committed in our efforts to safeguard the rights of women and the girl child, and would never take lightly political utterances that undermine the same. However, in this case, it is clear that President Chamisa views the issue of marrying off his sister as impossible, archaic and unthinkable, in the same way that it is impossible and unthinkable for one Emerson Mnangagwa, a man associated with dark episodes of our history such as Gukura Hundi and the 2000 terror campaign instances where women were raped, maimed and killed, to garner 5% of the vote in a free and fair election. There has been several violations of women's rights by ZANU-PF, including a gender-biased cabinet that is clearly anti-women. The state is heavily militarized after the illegal takeover, and there has been the remasculinization of the political space as a result of the coup, yet many have elected to remain silent. The biggest scandal and treachery is the outcome of the ZANU-PF primaries, where out of 210 approved candidates for the House of Assembly, only 19 women, 11%, made it as parliamentary candidates. Yet this naked and shameless patriarch in ZANU-PF escapes the critical eye of those condemning Chamisa's statement. It is regrettable to note how some politicians have shamelessly forfeited the high moral ground of simple, unadorned accuracy to distort and exaggerate President Chamisa's statement while ignoring real issues. The real danger to our society is the corrupt and incompetent system which has facilitated thousands of child marriages and child prostitution due to poverty. A corrupt ruling party who recently launched a manifesto premised on a questionable economic paradigm and outrageous over-ambition goals. As young women who have suffered in extreme poverty and deprivation under a ZANU-PF government, we will not be distracted by sensationalization and misinformation. Our focus remains to reclaim our hope and dignity by mobilizing each vote in our numbers and to make sure President Chamisa wins resoundingly in the coming election. We are confident that under a Nelson Chamisa government, our needs such as jobs, better maternal health care, free education for girls, political inclusion and recognition in poverty shall be met. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, for reading the statements. I am only chairing. Maybe at the start I should have explained. Hashtag Young Women for Chamisa is not a reactionary group to only this incident, but it is a movement of young women across the country who are believing in the vision and the leadership of Nelson Chamisa. What we are doing is that we are mobilizing young women from the busy streets of Harare, busy streets of Bulawayo, right to the last hut in the rural areas, to say go out in your numbers and let's vote for Nelson Chamisa, because he has continued to speak strongly and passionately about the issues of young women. I remember recently at Harare Hospital at a maternity ward, he spoke about maternal health. He promised that as soon as he becomes the president, as soon as he assumes power, he will take issues of maternal mortality rate serious. He will reduce maternal mortality rate from the 600 per 100,000 deaths that is currently happening to a lower number. And he has spoken passionately about education, about free education for girls, about access to higher education for girls. He has spoken passionately about growing the economy in a pro-poor way, where young women, vendors, those who are unemployed will also be able to benefit. So for us, Nelson Chamisa represents exactly what we want as young women. And what we are entering into as young women for Chamisa is a social contract with Nelson Chamisa to say we'll give him our vote, and he in turn will fulfill his election promises. And we are worried by the way that politicians continue to spin simple messages, simple statements. A hyperbole like the one that President Chamisa used is simply to emphasize the impossibility of Emerson Mnangagwa ever garnering just 5% in a free and fair election. And he classified and clarified and categorized that in a free and fair election, Emerson Mnangagwa will not be able to get 5% of the vote. So we just want to put a full stop to this sensationalization of non-issues and focus on real issues. What are the election issues for us as young women, and who has been speaking passionately on those election issues, on the candidates? And for us, it has been Nelson Chamisa, and today we just want to make it clear that we support Nelson Chamisa and we stand by him, and we know that his statement is around the table. And this is something that people continue to speak about, but it is about the nature and the structure of the alliance. However, I think if you go into these political parties, you'll find very vocal, very strong feminist voices. For example, in the MDCT, you have Tabita Kumalo, Purina Mpariwa. These are veteran trade unionists with a history of fighting, for democratization, for the freedoms of the people of this country. And what I found unfortunate is that women who have worked with these political parties and not found any problem, when they break rank with these political parties, they then start labeling those who choose to continue fighting from within as sellouts. They start to label you as people who do not want to work with other women. But what we are saying is that as a woman, I am fighting for the right to have choice, to have agency. And right now, if I have choice and I have agency, we are fighting to get to a point where I must be able to vote for a candidate, whether they're male or female, because of their capacity and because of their commitment to deliver what I feel will improve my life at a personal level and even at a community level. It must not be about gender. It's not about being a woman. It's about gender, but it's not only about gender. We should get to that point where I go to a ballot and I pick one candidate because of their capacity, and I'm not labeled a sellout because I picked a man over a woman, or you as a gentleman, you pick a lady, and then you're not labeled a sellout by the men because you've not voted for one of your gender. The anatomy must not be the sole basis on which we transform our society. Then it's not sustainable. Anatomy is not sustainable. Let's talk capacity. Let's talk about deliverables. What is it that the candidate has to offer?
To those that were hurt by that statement, would it not be wise enough for the aspiring president to go to State House to apologize to those who were hurt by that statement, irrespective of its correctness, in your own understanding?
Okay, fine. I'll take that. Actually, I think that has to come from him personally. We are not here to speak on his behalf, but we are just here to speak on what we understand about that statement. We also have so many things that the current president of the country has done to the masses of the people that he has not apologized for. And we are not saying this because we are saying Nelson Chamisa should not apologize. But we are saying we've got critical things that happened in this country. The people are yearning for an apology. The people want to move forward. But there has to be truth in order for us to reconcile. And we should not dwell on these issues like what Maureen rightly said. This was a hyperbole. Chamisa was simply expressing that if the unthinkable happens, which is Mnangagwa winning the election, then you will do the unthinkable. We have critical issues that need to be addressed. As young women, we have issues that we have, and we feel Nelson Chamisa has prioritized these issues ahead of him being the president of this country. And we cannot just crucify Nelson Chamisa, yet we've got a whole president of the country at the moment who has not apologized for Kukura Hundu, who has not apologized for a lot of things that happened in this country. We need to concentrate on issues. As the young women, what we are saying is we are gathered here. We want a president who will address our issues. We want a president who has us at heart. and it's Nelson Chamisa. We're not selling anything here. We are not selling our birthright, like I had another comment come out from the crowd. We are here just to say, let's not be diverted by people who want to just rise up with to advance their political careers. Let's focus on the issues and who has them at heart.
Do you think they need counseling?
I wouldn't know, but it's up to them if they do need counseling.
Okay, so unless there's a burning question.
It's a movement formed the young women for Chamisa. You see, it's in
its infancy.
Yes, when was it formed?
As soon as President Chamisa became clear about his ambition to run for presidency.
Specifically when? On your part?
I mean, the actual date.
Yeah.
I cannot give you an actual date because this is an organic movement. It is just people coming together, and then we realize after a week or two that this organic movement just keeps growing. We need to now start organizing and coordinating ourselves. But I can tell you that the moment President Nelson Chamisa became clear about his ambition to run for presidency, a lot of young women who were listening to him, following him, being inspired by him, and said, this is it for us. We put our vote on this man as a social contract that you will also respond to our issues and meet our needs as soon as he ascends into office.
What's your comment if maybe do you not think this presentation is rather a counter spin to sedate the society to what has already been said, which has been proven wrong maybe in the eyes of the community? Do you not think I provided
for us it is not a counter spin. We are glad that this issue has been discussed because for the longest of time we've watched people focusing on non-issues. We've watched people abusing women and women's rights issues to advance their political agendas. And for us, we are at a point where we just need, the can of worms has been opened, let's talk about it. Are we talking about women's issues here, or are we just looking for, the political sympathy and vote? And for us, it's important that we were able to clarify this and make our position clear.